Thank you. We now come to the 10-minute rule motion. Robert Halfon.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. I beg to move that leave be given to bring in a bill to provide for maximum waiting times for customers who are contacting providers of utilities and certain other services by telephone, to require such companies to ensure that customers can speak to a person within that maximum waiting time, to restrict the use of automated menus on telephone services offered by such companies, to provide for financial penalties for companies that fail to meet these standards, and for connected purposes. I would like to first say how pleased I've been to work with the Daily Mail and Money Mail, specifically Helena Kelly and Tilly Armstrong, to support the Money Mail Pick Up or Pay Up campaign. How often do you hear the dreaded phrase, "Sorry, we're rather busy right now, but your call is important to us. Please hold the line"? How often do you have to wait 15, 20, 30, 45 minutes plus on the phone to get through, and that's spending the first 5 minutes being asked to press 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or 6? And how often do you have to wait all that time to get through, and then they just cut you off? So you have to start this whole horrific process all over again. These companies, big multinationals with chief executives earning huge salaries, have created a Kafkaesque torture chamber of customer service. And it's happening every day across the United Kingdom, and it's been for some time now, as families all over Britain are trying to contact their utility company or service providers. Customer service providers plummeted during the pandemic as companies grappled with the new work guidelines put in place. Yet, they still have not recovered. And worst, some of these companies are using this as an excuse despite most workplaces having returned to normal. According to Citizens Advice, customer service ratings for energy firms, for example, are the worst they have been since 2017, with the highest performing suppliers scoring less than 60% for customer satisfaction. These ratings, as they themselves admit, are due to these egregiously long waiting times, yet seemingly no action has been taken to rectify this terrible quality of service for essential needs. In fact, consumer-facing service providers seem to be finding any way to avoid blame or accountability, to the point where Now TV, talking to a member of my office, claimed that the death of Her Late Majesty the Queen was the reason for potential waiting times. As the saying goes, you couldn't make it up. And often by the time you surpass such messages and click all the right buttons, you're then told by an automated voice that in fact the best route is to go via an online portal or text chat, despite already having been on hold for 20 minutes. Oh, and that's if you're even lucky enough to find the contact details needed. Money Mail and the Daily Mail discovered that the telecoms giants and energy suppliers are burying their telephone numbers on obscure pages of their websites to deter customers from calling for help. This is unacceptable. And it doesn't even take into account vulnerable or elderly customers who either don't have access to computers or simply don't have the tools to use one. One 80-year-old reader told the Daily Mail that they do not have a smartphone, and as such they're frustrated about making calls to providers where an automated voice asks them questions which they can't answer with their phone. My office colleague that I mentioned, trying to purchase a Now TV broadband package, did not have the broadband connected after 2 months, as they were told, incredibly, that their complaint about a delay had in fact caused a further delay to their service. Yet there are of course no consequences for increasingly anxious and frustrated consumers across Britain. And that's why we have to have financial penalties for large utility and service providers, much like the precedent that's been set in Spain. The new Spanish consumer laws will force big companies and utility firms to answer calls within 3 minutes or face fines of up to £85,000. Consumers will also have the right to be put through to a human on the phone rather than having to deal with an automated system. So we need a similar law in the United Kingdom. First, ensuring that no one would have to wait longer than at least 10 minutes on the phone, and that's pretty generous. Every customer would get through to a real human being as opposed to an automated machine or robot. Companies would remove the 1, 2, 3 options, which are all about trying to get customers off the phone instead of actually talking to them. Should businesses fail to meet these standards, they'll be fined heavily, and this money would be paid back to the customer through rebates. We're in a cost of living crisis. Consumers need easy and accessible customer service from their energy and utility providers. Companies like SSE, which supplies energy, phone and broadband to UK homes, should just not be allowed to leave people waiting for up to 50 minutes. Utility and service providers have a duty to their consumers, and currently practices are not good enough, with telephone services aiming to get people off the phone rather than on it, and it's got to change. And that's why this Consumer Telephone Service Standards Bill is so vital, to make these large providers accountable. As the Daily Mail says, pick up or pay up.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.